Hello and welcome to the video. Today we are doing something slightly different because we will be having a go at this test track for crawling with quite a few different crawlers, testing a little bit to see what they're capable of. Starting off pretty simple with an SUV turned into a crawler car just by adding tires, essentially. One of the weirder crawler cars, it's an extended cab. Don't ask me why, it's quite fun to have a go with. This one came with the update 0.27 and it's pretty capable. Yet another one from update 0.27 that's possibly even more capable. At least I'm expecting it to do well on this track here. And yeah, I mean, it's hilarious because this thing exists in real life. And it's made to go through anything, like swamps and anything. It can just plow through mud. It doesn't matter. How will it crawl? It's not really made for crawling, so it will be interesting to see how that goes. And then lastly, we have quite an interesting mod, namely a Widgeon crawler version, which just sounds wrong. The Widgeon shouldn't have a crawler version, but here it is. And it looks surprisingly good. It actually kind of, like that cab, really kind of fits as a crawler somehow. And it's weird, but let's have a go. We're starting off with this adventure truck just to get a benchmark. And this one is kind of the most normal car here. The rest are very specialized off-road vehicles. And it will be interesting sort of to see how well it does. And we can set a benchmark for all the other cars. You can actually see that it is pretty damn capable because we made it up this section with absolutely no problems. I set out a little path for these cars to try. The next part of this is getting up this steep hill, and that is something that not all cars are going to be able to do. And I don't have very high hopes for the Granger. That's already not promising. But I think that hitting it from the front is kind of not what we want to do. It's not going to work either, but it's not exactly crawling if you just hold down the throttle and go for it. Actually, like, I mean, that's what I mean. It's the thing that's probably with this car gonna get it closest to making it, but it's not exactly what I call crawling. So we're gonna have a go with this and see if we can actually make it happen with a little bit more finesse than just bashing it into the obstacle, trying to go sideways to get a little bit better ground clearance. And having that first wheel get up on top. That was actually closer than I would have expected it to get. That is worth another try. All of the other cars that we will be trying, they will be stock as they come, but the Granger doesn't really have the best crawler version, so I kind of had to make one myself. And even then, I don't think we're going to get up this hill here. One last try, trying to go... One last try going really quite sideways to get a good chance of making it up. No. No, it tips over. There's no way, I think, for this to work, really. The question has to be asked, though, is there any way up for this, even if we can't crawl? And I think the answer is going to be no. I don't call this crawling. Because we're literally just bashing the car into the side of this wall. But I think, like, maybe at some point, if you just do this enough, you'll get up. But is that really, like, would I be proud of that? Not really. One last obstacle that we will throw these cars at is this steep hill climb. And the Granger actually has absolutely no difficulties getting up that. That was way too easy. So surprisingly, some of the crawlers actually kind of struggle with these super steep hills. At this point, like, the angle is almost 50%, I think. Actually over 50%. I mean, the cars hang back a little bit, so let's say 50%. And some cars actually struggle with that a little bit more than this Granger, and okay, yeah, without any momentum, it's not going to do it, but I think just because it has really good grip with those tires, and it's actually, it has plenty of power. It has absolutely no problem getting up there. We move on to the D series extended crawler I don't know why it exists, but it's surprisingly fun, so you gotta have a go with that, right? It shouldn't have too much trouble getting up here. I think the ground clearance isn't quite enough for the length of this car, but that shouldn't be a problem yet. I might already pose a problem here, though, just trying to make it up this little hill here. So now will we be able to get this one on top? Since it actually has proper crawler suspension, it has a little bit more of a chance here, and I'd almost call that close, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't really. Trying again with a different angle. Is it gonna be any more? At this point, I'm really just looking for any way up this little block. I don't think it's going to be very pretty. So, yeah, it's going to look something like this if it happens. Okay, let's go in for one last attempt from the side. That's not a good start, okay. Gonna try that again. We have to position ourselves a little bit awkwardly just to get the right angle for this approach. But that's fine. We can have another go, get that front wheel up. The front wheels both are up, but we just don't have the right angle for this. Kind of close, I guess, but not quite there. With most attempts at actually crawling or being careful not really working out, we kind of just have to see if it can make it up by going for it. Yeah, no, that's not a very hopeful start to that approach, but I believe that there is a chance for us to make it up there. I mean, if that's the way that it works, then that's the way that it works. I mean, I don't call that crawling, that's just bashing your car at it, but I guess it works, so it's something. I think this car will have absolutely no problem climbing up, but how do you get over the ledge? And I think that is going to require quite some speed, because the grip is there and everything is there except for the ground clearance right now. Yeah, that's not good. So I think if we just go for a little bit faster approach, then we should be able to clear that. Like that. Yeah, that's absolutely no problem. That's good to see. Next up is a true off-roader, a rock basher, the crawler version, and I think that this is kind of like it's made for this kind of thing, but at the same time it's not really, like, it misses some of the essentials, if that makes sense. Like, this is really cool. I think that the suspension works really well, and it has the right tires for everything. But I think that sort of the wheels are quite far apart and there's not that much ride height to it, so it doesn't feel like it is much of a crawler to me. It's quite capable, obviously. It does have most of the things that you would need, but at the same time, I feel like it could be better. I'm just leaving all of these cars as they come in the game, just stock. But how will it do on this test? I don't know. I think that the ride height is really going to hurt us a little bit here. But to be entirely honest, I don't think I ever really expected either the Granger or the D-Series to make it up here. And this one, I believe there is a possibility. So at least it is worth trying just a little bit harder. Because, I mean, that was not really close, but at the same time, it wasn't that far off. I believe for sure that if we just go straight at it and we bump it over, then... yeah, exactly. That's possible. But what I want to test is, can it crawl up this little ledge here? I'm testing these cars on this test track because this very clean man-made obstacle course is going to test like very specific parts of rock crawling and specific aspects of it that you don't really get on a real trail. Because then sometimes you can sort of just have a little bit more luck with just hitting that one rock in a specific way, and then like you happen to get over, but it doesn't really rely on the car or the exact route. You just got a little bit lucky. So this is really kind of a clean test of how all these vehicles do. And that's also why I kind of wanted to have this slow crawling way. I tried. That's why I want to make it over in sort of this slow crawling way, because that would sort of really show what it can do in quite a clean environment, and that would be really cool. And I think that in the end, all of the cars might perform a little bit differently, like they might rank differently on a real track, because that then like sort of different aspects are more important. I think, for example, not falling over is going to be more important then, because here like you can just have a few goes at this one obstacle and seeing if there's any way over, and then it doesn't really matter if the car is likely to tip over. You can just clean up your technique to get it exactly right and stuff. But yeah, no. But that being said, I might actually give all of these cars a go on a real track as well. This modded map actually has quite a few tracks around that you can try as well. So maybe that will be interesting to see. I'm gonna call this a failure, is what I'll say. It made it up before, but that was just like ramming the car straight into the wall. Now, this is something that the work basher should be really quite good at, I would say. It has absolutely no problem just driving up. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't think anything is going to make it up here crawling super slowly, because it's just, I mean, ground clearance and stuff will not really work out. Maybe one of the ones with very big wheels, but it really does clear this without any problems. Up next, the Hopper. I think that this car is just very fun. I really like this new addition to the game, because I say new addition, like the update's been out for a while, but that's fine. Yeah, like just the size of the wheels compared to the car is kind of just funny. Actually, the wheels are pretty tiny. The tires are gigantic, and yeah, it looks funny, and the suspension is really good. It just looks interesting. I don't know. It's very fun to drive. It tips over a little bit too easily. Oh, I forgot to put on lower. That should help. It tips over a little bit too easily, I think, but other than that, it's quite fun to have a go with. All right, we made it straight up that. That's pretty nice. We didn't have to push or anything, just simply slowly crawling up. That's what I like to see. That's sort of what I want to test today. So, points for the Hopper. Now, however, the real challenge seems to be this wall right here. And I think with the huge tires and the pretty good ride height, we have a better chance than the other cars so far. And the grip in these tires is quite insane. We're not gonna make it straight up, so I will have to try just a little bit harder than that. I find it so satisfying to see this suspension flexing the way that it does, and such a slow, precise and controlled crawl up that is very good. Now, how will the Hopper do on the straight climb up the hill? That is going to be the question we're answering right now. I think that this is going to be the one that has the least trouble going slow over this. And it seems to be quite scary for this car, actually, because it has quite a high center of gravity for the compared to the rest, really. So you can see that the wheels actually just continue to go up even though the ground drops away, which is kind of funny to see, but not really helpful if you want to make it up. I'm doing it on purpose now. I think if we just go for a little bit of a... Yeah, actually we didn't even have to slow down. We could just wheelie all the way up here, which feels a little bit odd and wrong, I would say. But I was going to say, if we take a little bit of a run up and you just let off the gas a little bit to let the front wheels drop down, then you should be able to just crawl up like that, which is fairly controlled and nice. But I wonder if you can make it up slowly, and I don't think it's gonna be too slowly ever. Actually, I mean, that's definitely better than what we've seen so far. That was really good. The rest always had to sort of like go for it and sort of shoot the front upwards as high as it would go, and then let it fall back down to earth. So I think that this one did quite a lot better than the others regarding that. Now to the Mud Master, the oddest one of the bunch. Actually, the tallest one of them all as well. It's much bigger than you kind of think when you see it. I think that if you see only this, then it doesn't look that big. But if you compare it to the cars around here, it's actually quite gigantic, especially the tires are gigantic. And the steering is quite odd in the sense that it will have only one side of the tires, or one side of the wheels spin and the other one stays stationary, a bit like a tank, to get yourself turned. Which I'm sure is helpful in certain scenarios, but for crawling in general, I don't think that's very helpful, because that means that you can only approach obstacles by going forward, essentially. If you're on an obstacle and you want to also turn, then you're losing half of the way to transfer your power to the ground. So that's not good news, and it's kind of that was me trying to turn whilst climbing, and that just makes this poor little car super unhappy. I'm not even just turning overheats the clutch. So I think in a real life crawling scenario, this is not gonna do well at all, because you need to turn all the time mid climb. But I think that in this sort of man-made scenario, it does surprisingly well, just because it has these huge tires. It might tip over backwards at some point. That would be quite scary. But just because the ground clearance is quite high, and then the wheels are so close together, I think that it can go up really crazy stuff. The question is, can it make it up the hill? I don't think it's gonna make it if we just go straight at it. I think it will tip backwards, but we have to give it a go, of course. If anything can do this, this is the one. I'm going extremely slow. Oh, I forgot to turn on... I forgot to turn on low gearing. That actually explains all of the clutch going crazy. That's just my bad. Never mind. I'm gonna put you in low gearing, and then you'll be much happier. Okay, that's insane. It had absolutely no problems doing that. It just went straight up, no problem. And the it didn't even come close to hitting the edge. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is... I mean, it's quite a unique machine, I would say. I've found out that you have to be in low gearing for this to work on tarmac, because if you are in high gearing, then it starts burning the clutch just turning around, which is kind of silly. But yeah, in low gearing it actually works pretty well. But how does it do when trying to turn whilst climbing? Because that is, in a real rock climbing scenario, quite likely going to be necessary. But if you do that with this thing, you just lose half of your vehicle, basically. Only half as many points of contact with the ground that you can put power down. And then you just start struggling. And it's quite hard to have the one side of the tires turn faster than the other. It's almost kind of just either the left side is going to be stationary and the right side is going to be turning, or they both turn. There isn't it's not easy to make sort of a slow turn where the one side rotates only just a little bit faster than the other side. I don't think that's an option that you get. We're doing it a little bit right now, but yeah, it's not... Yeah, okay, it can do it, but it requires very specific inputs. Does it go down as well as it goes up? That is a question I'm curious about, because the weight... yeah, that's exactly what I expected, honestly. The weight from this car is all in front, because the engine is right there in the front, and it's not so much in the back, really. So going up things, it does really, really well. Going down things, I think that's never going to go very, very well. That was fairly controlled, but I think this next one will just mean that we... maybe we can save it after we flip over, essentially, by going forward. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of uncontrollable if you go down. And it's just an insane contraption, really. At least it climbs up these things relatively well, as long as you're not trying to turn. But will it be able to make it up this hill? And I think that is kind of where it struggles. It has this insane climbing ability, but it doesn't have the best center of gravity for this kind of climb. I think that I'm now, I'm trying to see if it can be at this angle and stay in that place, and I think the answer to that is going to be no. I think it will just start tipping over regardless of what you do if you're at this angle. Yeah, so what it will require is a little bit of momentum, but it shouldn't be too hard, I think, to get that right and get it up on top. Just a little bit of momentum. You have to let go of the throttle though, because otherwise it's gonna tip over, so more momentum is going to be necessary, I think. I think we had it there. I just let go of the throttle a little bit too much. All the momentum in this case. You let the front wheel settle a little bit and you should be fine. Obviously we're not. It's harder than I was expecting it to be, but again, that's also, I mean, I did expect it to be harder in this car than in most of the other cars, but I wasn't expecting it to be this hard, since it was so good at climbing up that one straight wall. Yeah, essentially we have to go full throttle to get quite a good momentum, and then just as we reach the top, when the front side wants to go up more and tip you backwards, that's when you need to let go of the throttle just a little bit to let the front wheel settle on top of the landing there. And as soon as the front wheels are down and you're not bouncing around anymore, then we should be able to just continue going. But that's not easy. It's easier said than done. Like, I know what I need to be doing here. It's just not... Yeah, that was pretty neat. Oh, no. We were slightly off angle, and that made the car bounce around. That was not good. These pedals, sort of, the pedals on this, these wheels, I mean, they're made for mud, so it makes sense to have them, but they're kind of inconvenient when you're trying to just climb a concrete hill. There you go. Okay, I had to slow down a little bit because it started bouncing again, but it's like once you get it, it's not actually that hard. It's definitely capable of climbing up, but it can easily go wrong. But I mean, the car remains unbeaten when it comes to just climbing straight up hills like this. That's, I don't know, just fascinating to me that it works. Like this super steep bit here, I don't think that's going to be possible just by crawling up it. But what you can do with this vehicle is you can get it on to two wheels quite easily. I mean, I might have to spend a few good minutes trying. Oh, that was so close. I think that's as close as you can get, because we didn't bounce too much. We were standing on sort of the edge rear wheels, the only ones that were actually on the platform. They didn't actually have much weight on them, so they were never actually gonna stay on there, really. So you do have to have sort of the front wheels up there first. You can't start a front wheelie, I'm gonna call it, just by doing... Oh, you can! Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that the weight was too much, but if we can actually do that, then let's give that a go. There you go. Okay, that took a lot of effort, but whew, okay. I mean, why? What's the point? I don't know, but I think I liked it. Okay, let's move on. Last but not least, the Widgeon. This mod is kind of insane. Who would use a Widgeon as a crawler cab? But here it is. It is a Widgeon crawler. It actually is a really cool mod where you can even adjust things from inside the cabin. I think this is the engine that I just turned off. But you can use this stick for the low and high range gears, and this should be the two diff locks. But enough of that. Let's see if it actually works. I think that the cab from the Widgeon is really short, and that, I mean, again, is both good and bad, because it's short, so then an obstacle is going to be kind of big in comparison to the car itself. I'm just trying to see if we can, yeah, like it doesn't struggle with that too much. Like it can make it up, but each obstacle is going to be sort of bigger, just in comparison to the size of your car. But having the wheels quite close together does give quite a lot of advantages as well. I think one of those is, for example, that we can probably just get on the throttle and get up here without too many problems. Maybe not on that attempt, but yeah, that's what I was expecting. But what I find more important is, can it crawl up? Let's see how it does when we're trying to actually just get on here slowly. Using the grip from those tires, and it likes to tip over. This is very much on the edge of where it starts tipping over. We have to be very, very careful. Just the slightest input. I think if we try to go with just a little bit more speed, then it will do it quite fine. Kind of like that. I think we get that slightly cleaner. That is the oddest movement. I don't know what happened exactly, but I don't think it's going to be able to do it going super slowly. But I don't know why it likes to break down so much. I think if we keep just the steady pace whilst going up, that can probably get us there. Well, this is... that's exactly what I was not planning. That was just very odd. I was kind of hoping for it to work without doing some sort of breakdancing. Yeah, I think like with a little bit of speed, then it becomes possible, but you can't quite climb it very, very slowly. I think for the hill challenge here, it's gonna have yeah, basically no problems. I wonder if this is gonna be one that can actually make it by just calmly crawling up. I don't think any of them can do that really. It just will, they're always gonna hit on the ledge there, but I don't think it needs a lot more speed than that. Okay, I was actually hoping that you could sort of have it settle like this and then crawl up, but I don't think the ride height's quite enough to make that work. Yeah, no. So unfortunately, it looks like it's gonna be one more of those that just has to, yeah, be given a little bit more speed, a little bit more power to make it up. But I guess that's to be expected. If you were to tell me that there is now a Widgeon crawler version, I kind of wouldn't be expecting much from it. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because who would be expecting anything from a Widgeon, really? But it is surprisingly good, and it's really just fun to have a go with. So when I tried this mod, I kind of thought it was going to be a sort of a weird gimmick, but it just works. I find that fascinating. It did fairly well, I think, like compared to the cars that we have here. It's sort of middle of the road, I think, in that it can crawl slowly fairly well. It can make it up pretty steep climbs, and yeah, it's overall a pretty good vehicle. It will be interesting to see though how these cars will compare if we throw them onto a real track. So maybe I will do that for another video. For now, this is going to be it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye. Let's give it one more go. Okay, don't pull that.